So today I want to talk to you guys on whether or not the GH5 is a good camera for you in 2020. It's been about 3 years since its release date, so that's like forever in camera years. So let's just get right into it and talk about it a little bit. So my short answer is yes, you should consider this camera in 2020. It's a very suitable camera for most video work, has great color, blah blah blah. It has all the things that you might need. So why did I buy it? I bought it mainly because the IBIS, that's the #1 feature, is the IBIS, and using sort of older lenses and being able to shoot handheld with them and not have it be so shaky. No record limit, that's another huge thing, especially for weddings, because with the wide angle shot, I can't run back and forth in between, in the middle of the wedding, because that'd be rude and it'd be disruptive. And 4K 60, that's another big reason I bought it. Obviously higher resolution frame rates are super important these days. And finally, the 10-bit color is another super big reason I bought this camera, because I love being able to push around the grades and get really deep into the color grading. It's one of my favorite things. And another thing that I didn't even write down but I just thought about is the flippy screen. I think it's a super nice feature. I don't use it that often, but I think it's great for people who want to do YouTube or something like that, who would like to see themselves but not necessarily have an entire monitor. So that's another great feature. So for you to consider this camera, I think you should probably think about your needs first. So what kind of video do you shoot? Or what kind of photos do you take? I think that if you need something with super good autofocus, if you need something that's really amazing in low light, and you need something that's full frame, then this camera might not be the one to consider, simply because in low light, this camera is not going to perform as well. It's not built that way. It has a micro four thirds sensor versus something like full frame. The sensor's smaller, so there's not going to be as much light hitting the sensor. That's just a fact. And then if you need a camera with good autofocus, say you're doing things like YouTube videos, or like vlogs specifically where you don't have time to really set focus, this is probably not a good camera to consider. Although they did release a firmware update just recently, that kind of fixes some of the autofocus problems, and it added eye autofocus and like animal tracking or something, as if anyone wanted that. I'm not really sure. I don't think it's that much better than it was. I've seen a couple videos that have been like displaying how good it is, but I haven't been able to really get that good of results with it. So you'll need to consider your own needs when thinking about buying this camera. So some workarounds for these flaws, and I've had to do these myself because they are inherent flaws with the camera. Depending on the type of shooting you do, autofocus isn't necessarily that important. For me, for shooting weddings and for shooting commercials and things like that, I don't need autofocus, and I don't rely on autofocus with any cameras. I'm usually behind the camera and I am pulling focus constantly. It has focus peaking, which is pretty much the perfect tool for using manual focus, and it's fine, and I prefer to manual focus anyway, because autofocus just isn't reliable enough for shoots like that. So again, manual focus isn't that hard. Low light, again, sadly, it's not anything that you're going to be able to fix unless you have a bigger sensor, unless there's some sort of digital way to do it, like digital processing. Tyler Stallman made a video recently about how cameras and phones do HDR like stacking for video and things like that, and we're not there yet. So low light is going to inherently be a problem with these cameras. I use the Blackmagic to sort of get around this flaw with the camera. I use the Blackmagic just because it's a little better in low light, and I don't know. The biggest thing to mention with this camera is that it's still on par with all the new cameras that are coming out these days in its sort of $1,000, $2,000 price point. It's had 4K 60 since 2017, early 2017. That's still not really a standard thing. I mean, look at Canon. And it has IBIS, like arguably the best IBIS on the market right now. So, that's another thing that's sort of a new thing that a lot of cameras kind of have, but it's not very good in most cameras. The GH5's IBIS is definitely the best out right now. And again, another thing is 10-bit video. A lot of cameras are starting to put that in now. Canon, Sony, I'm talking to you. A lot of cameras are starting to put that in now, like the Fujis and the Blackmagics have it with ProRes. But this camera's had 10-bit video since 2017. Again, that's just another another thing to mention about how it's been it was ahead of its time when it came out. And it has halfway decent battery life. To top all this off, it has better battery life than, you know, things like the Sony APS-C sized cameras and the Fuji and, you know, whatever else. This camera has way better battery life. It's not amazing, but I filmed for like 5 or 6 hours the other day, just like sort of on and off, and I went through 1.5 batteries, and I was pleasantly surprised at, you know, how good it is on battery life with all things considered about the other cameras. Like with the Blackmagic, I would never consider even using the simple LPE6 batteries that come with it. Oh my God, noises. So my answer is yes, you should consider the GH5. Whether you do YouTube, whether you need autofocus, whether you need good low light, you should still consider the GH5 in 2020. It's a great camera, it's versatile, it'll make a great video, it'll make great images, it'll take great photos too. I never really gave it a chance for photos, but it's not that bad. So I think you should consider it, and drop a like down below, subscribe, etc. Drop a comment. Do you have the GH5? How long have you had the GH5 for? Are you considering picking up a GH5? I had the Fujifilm originally, which was, you know, replaced by the GH5, and the Fujifilm was a really amazing camera, don't get me wrong. It just didn't have IBIS, and it didn't have unlimited record times. So it wasn't the perfect camera for me. And the lenses are super, super expensive on the Fuji system, which I guess is kind of warranted because they're really nice. But at the end of the day, the Fujifilm wasn't the right camera for me, so that's why I picked up the GH5. So again, thanks for watching, and drop a comment. What videos do you want to see? Let me know what other videos you want to see, because I would like to make more videos just for fun. So let me know what you want to see, and I'll see you in the next video. Adios.